should more Nintendo games go open world? I think this is an interesting proposition because obviously the Zelda series returned to its open world roots with, well, Breath of the Wild. And obviously we know that Masada, I know I always butcher his name, the person who basically leads up the development of Pokemon games, has stated that, they're not going to take open world Pokemon off of the table. It's possible they might do an open world Pokemon game someday in the vein of Breath of the Wild. This was stated in an interview last week. But I think what's even cooler than this, in terms of the open world stuff, is obviously the recent release of Starlink Battle for Atlas. A lot of people, a lot of reviewers anyways, have been touting this game as one of the best, or potentially the best, open world Star Fox games. Technically, it's like the only one, but you catch my drift. You get to play as Fox McCloud with the whole gang, and you're in an open world. And this has made people kind of desire a true open world Star Fox game. And I think this is an interesting trend because obviously open world has swept over the gaming industry. It's become a term that is almost, it becomes synonymous with being a highly rated game. It's interesting when I think about the open world aspects and what I like about it. Obviously, the biggest thing people like about open worlds is freedom. And I don't know that you need an open world necessarily to have that freedom, but obviously having an open world provides you the largest freedom you can. It's essentially a sandbox to play in, but there's rules and there's story and there's all this other stuff to go along with it. And I think it's an interesting concept that could work with a lot of Nintendo games. I think an open world Mario game could honestly work. I'm just imagining like Super Mario Odyssey, if you were able to travel anywhere you wanted to from the word go, and you didn't have to like go like level to level, you could just go anywhere. I think it would be a pretty interesting experience. And I honestly think that more Nintendo games probably could go open world. I'm not sure which ones fit best beyond, Pokemon and the Star Fox and Mario like we talked about, but what if there was an open world Metroid game? Now, Metroid's actually an interesting one because I'm not so sure that Samus Aran should be in an open world. Obviously, the crux of Metroid has always been enclosed areas, puzzles, all that stuff. And this has been true of many IPs of Nintendo over the years. But I think that it's doable, right? I mean, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Xenoblade Chronicles X, Xenoblade Chronicles in general, RPGs, been kind of open worldish anyways, and Nintendo's been building out more and more of these open world games, so they might be coming irregardless of what you want to happen. But I don't know. I mean, I think this is a fair question, and I want us to have a much larger debate about this down in the comments, because I think open world can work for a lot of Nintendo's IP, but I don't know that every IP needs to be open world. Does that make sense? It's kind of like how a lot of things have been going to, everything needs to have online multiplayer, and then like the most successful game, the highest selling exclusive game, fastest selling anyways, on PlayStation 4 was a single-player experience without any online connectivity in Spider-Man. So I think there's like this interesting conundrum where open world is clearly extremely popular with consumers, but it's not like the only direction you could go. Super Mario Odyssey is actually the most popular game on Nintendo Switch. It has sold the most copies of any game on the market, but it's not open world. So the question I really want to throw out to you is the original question of this whole debate. Should more Nintendo games be open world? And if so, which games do you want to see open world and why? And if not, what IP do you think absolutely should not ever touch open world? In fact, heck, maybe you think some games that have gone open world from Nintendo should, well, go back. As an example, maybe you didn't like the fact that Breath of the Wild was open world and you prefer a more linear experience from Zelda, something akin to Skyward Sword, perhaps, heck, even Twilight Princess with all of its invisible walls. I think that there is a lot of merit to be had from, more linear experiences and more open world experiences. So for me, I think both should coexist, but it's difficult because open world games generally require a ton of resources, and not every game that attempts open world gets it right. Not every game can be a Breath of the Wild or Horizon Zero Dawn or The Witcher 3. Like, not every game can pull that off and do it well, but when it is done well, it's often a masterpiece. So I have to say, yes, I want more Nintendo games to be open world. I don't think every Nintendo game needs to be open world, however, and I feel like we need to have a further discussion on specific IPs going open world or not going open world, and the pros and cons, or maybe how the IP should just split off in multiple directions, kind of like the Mario series has done with, you have the side-scrolling 2D style, and you have, the full, 3D Mario, open platforming kind of aspect, or you have, like, the Breath of the Wilds of the world, and then you have something like A Link Between Worlds. I think that you can have two branching aspects to these franchises. Like, I don't think Metroid Prime 4 should probably be open world, but does that mean a Metroid game can't exist where there is like an open universe and an open way to explore a galaxy? Like, a lot of talk about Star Fox, but maybe you really like an on-rail Star Fox. Maybe on-rail Star Fox to you is better than an open and free Star Fox. I think there's just a lot to talk about, and again, I could go round and round in circles talking to myself about it and debating in my head what I want to see work and what I don't want to see work. But I actually am going to toss this up to you to continue this conversation down in the comments. This is kind of a new video series I'm doing, by the way. I've experimented with stuff like this in the past, but it's just been a long time. This is essentially a discussion video where the goal is I want to get you guys talking about the ideas behind whatever the topic ends up being. In this case, should more Nintendo games be open world? And why or why not? And I just want this conversation to continue to grow and grow and grow and evolve, and it might lead to follow-up videos to this. If you guys make some excellent points down in the comments, we might be able to do specific videos on specific IPs and the pros and cons of going in a certain direction based on what I feel and what you guys feel. So again, leave all your comments down below, and maybe it'll appear in a future video. Anyways, folks, I want to thank all of you guys for tuning in. I am Nathaniel Rufflejans from Nintendo Prime, and if you like this video, you know what to do. And if you dislike the video, hit that dislike button. By the way, we're giving away a Nintendo Switch Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Bundle. Just go to the gleam.io link down in the description for more details, and good luck. I'll catch you all in the next one.